They're blocking the traffic here. The police are blocking the traffic so the protests can march through.
You're watching 246 News.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining this breaking news live here. We had to get on because Djokovic's visa has been cancelled yet again, well, for the second time. Now, I don't know enough about this myself, but I've got these messages coming through. It has been cancelled, and it seems that I've fact-checked it pretty much, and it seems like it's true. And we can have a look on Twitter here, and this is what we can see from what we can see. Australian government cancels Novak Djokovic's visa ahead of the Australian Open. Now, yeah, I mean, wow! I don't think anyone suspected that the government would be doing this. I mean, it made them look so bad them doing it the first time, but I guess they've got to stand by what they're going to do, and it seems like this absolute embarrassment is, well, they're trying to take the path of staying. They're staying with what they're not going to admit to what they did. If they're not going to say that it was wrong or if it was right or whatever, well, they obviously want to continue with this cancellation, and it's going to be taken to court ahead of the Australian Open. Just to keep you in mind, Australian Open starts on Monday, so that's in 3 days. So in 3 days, the Australian Open will commence, and if they can, I don't know, get to court in time, that would be absolutely, I mean, I guess they might have to do some kind of emergency ruling. Now, it's been cancelled again, and some of the people's reactions on Twitter, let's have a look at this. I just know that in a few months we'll be like, remember when they got deported Djokovic? It will feel like it happened 2 years ago, but it'll be only April or something. Djokovic's lawyers are considering their legal options. Okay, so his lawyers are still considering his legal options, according to Paul here. They were served documents at 6:03, and alright, so after the Minister's Home Affairs, his decision, if they appeal, they will need written or verbal evidence. Yeah, so on the grounds of Alex Hawke, I think his last name is, obviously, alright, so there's plenty of articles up about it already, only 6 minutes ago, 5 minutes ago, so it's a pretty fresh topic, and we got hit down here soon enough. But wow, it was a bit unexpected, that's for sure, and we're gonna have a look into that, and we didn't know if we were going to be able to get any Melbourne coverage at this current time, but it seems that we definitely are going to be. I wonder what the protests are going to do. I wonder what's going to take off here, because I do think that there will be protests. We saw protests last time with the Serbian community, the freedom fighters. They're all out there on the ground, so it'll be interesting to see how this plays out, and we'll obviously make sure to be watching this topic very closely over the coming days. I mean, yeah, it's quite. Right. So now let's have a look at what did the project have to say about it.
Judicial review, which I imagine, because he must mandatorily be taken into
Immigration Minister Alex Hawke has cancelled the visa of men's world number one Novak Djokovic. In a statement, the minister says he made the call on health and good order grounds and on the basis that it was in the public interest to do so. The Australian Open starts Monday.
Well, joining us now is former Immigration Department Secretary Abul Rizvi. Abul, did you expect this call from Immigration Minister this evening?
All right, I am not watching the project. I've had enough of that. No project for me. Thank you very much.
Djokovic visa saga. Immigration Minister Alex Hawke has just made a decision on whether the world number one can stay and play. Let's go live to Jackie Felgate in Melbourne. Jackie, he's out.
He is indeed, Rosanna. His visa has been cancelled and the world number one will be deported from the country. I'm going to read from a statement now from the Immigration Minister, Alex Hawke. This was released just a short time ago. In it, he says he exercised his power under Section 133C of the Migration Act to cancel the visa held by Mr Novak Djokovic on health and good order grounds on the basis that it was in the public interest to do so. This, of course, follows the decision by the Federal Court to quash a prior cancellation decision on procedural fairness grounds. In making the decision, he says he considered the information provided to him by the Department of Home Affairs and Australian Border Force and Mr Djokovic. It goes on to say that the Morrison government is committed to protecting Australian borders. So what does this mean now? It means that Novak Djokovic will likely be taken to immigration detention and flown out of the country, but his lawyers yesterday signalled and we can expect them then to head to court either tonight or tomorrow, with reports that a decision would need to be made by Sunday. Quite a remarkable situation tonight.
Yeah, wow, like that. So that means that there could be they could go to court as early as tonight. Well, that's definitely big news. I mean,
said we're expecting those lawyers to appeal. We're still waiting for confirmation on that one. The fixture now of the Australian Open has been thrown into chaos. If Novak Djokovic doesn't play, it means the number 2 seed, Daniil Medvedev, will become the number 1 seed at the Australian Open. But the big news tonight, confirmation that Novak Djokovic's visa has been cancelled. It's been 8 days of toing and froing on this, and he will, at this stage, be deported from the country. Rosanna.
all right, so, well, there we have it. It looks like that it's definitely possible that he could be deported, and it'll be interesting to see how this court case plays out earlier tonight. Well, of course, we'll bring you updates. I don't know what you're allowed to do in terms of. I don't think you're allowed to film like what's going on the Australian court. We're just going to confirm that. Like, I don't think I'll be able to live stream what's going on there, but we will make sure to bring you updates when we're allowed to, when stuff has gone to air. We will, make sure to do that. So I'm going to take a break right now, but I'm going to find out some more information on the topic. But I will definitely be right back, because this is something important that we've got to look more into detail about, like, because the breaking news just came through straight away. We're going to have our next show coming up, and then we're going to find out what the decision was, who made this decision, who's behind this, because this well, of course, the immigration minister is behind this, and he must have been the one who cancelled Djokovic's visa. But as far as I can tell, that they might be having a cake course as early as tonight. So I'll have a bit of a look into that. But now we're just going to go on to standby. Thank you.
free will, it's not consent.
They're blocking the traffic here. The police are blocking the traffic so the protests can march through.
You're watching 246 News.
Hello and welcome back to 246 News. We're back today. We're back now to talk more about what has happened with Djokovic's visa. Now, Djokovic's visa has been cancelled yet again, and it seems audio. All right. Look at that. There we go. Djokovic's visa has been cancelled again, and he's going to go back to court. Now, let me read you something. Home Affairs Minister Alex Hawke has made his final decision, announced this afternoon that number one tennis star Novak Djokovic has had his visa cancelled the second time, casting serious doubt about whether he is eligible to play in the Australian Open. The announcement was delayed as the federal government prepared its case to revoke his visa, kicking him out of the country before the Australian Open. Now, keep in mind, the Australian Open does start on Monday, and late this afternoon, the immigration minister had invoked his discretionary power and to seek deportation of Novak Djokovic. And then he released a statement on Friday afternoon. He said, "Today I exercise my power under the 133C Act of the Migrations Act to cancel Mr. Djokovic's visa on grounds of good order and the basis in the public's interest to do so." So hear that, the public's interest. This decision followed orders by the Federal Circuit and Family Court on the 10th of January, quashing prior to the cancellation on a processional fairness grounds. Now, of course, this is all because he didn't want to take a vaccine, and his private medical choice of not taking a vaccine. He didn't want to disclose. Well, he didn't want to disclose his vaccination status altogether. Now, what happened? Now, it was just because the political class panicked, and then it all turned into a problem of the border security. It turned into a border security issue, essentially, to try to get him deported over this vaccine thing. Now, COVID immigration rules will allow him to stay in Australia for now, and border officials are investigating whether he lied on his documentary form. Now, whether he lied on his border documentary form. Now, we do know that Mr. Djokovic did say on his border entry form something along the lines of he hasn't travelled in the prior 14 days before what happened to him. So he was saying that nothing happened to him in the last, he didn't go anywhere in the last 14 days overseas. And obviously he did go. He was caught on social media traveling. I think it was to either Spain. He travelled to Spain in the last 14 days. He didn't disclose that. He clicked no, although it wasn't him. He was saying Tennis Australia organised those documents, so it was their fault altogether. And his team. His team did it for him, and at Tennis Australia they were working together on that. Djokovic didn't even see the form, apparently. Now, he said so. And also about seeing all the social media stuff that Djokovic was when he was supposed to be COVID positive. He actually went out. He didn't know he was COVID positive at the time. He knew he took a test. He says, and when he went to all these events with children and lots of people, these big crowded events, he didn't know he was COVID positive, but he did know that he was COVID positive when he decided to go to, I think he went somewhere to some smaller event. So to receive an award it was, I believe. So he knew he was COVID positive, but he went out to receive an award. Now, he was caught maskless at these events where he was COVID positive, but obviously didn't know. But obviously he wasn't caught maskless at his awards event that he knew he was COVID positive. All right, so we're just waiting on a little update here. I think we're going to add in, have a guest on shortly. Our reporter from the grounds of Melbourne. We'll just wait till 6:30 on that, I believe, and that should do it from there. Now, yeah. So we're just wondering on what's gonna happen with his court case in the next. His court case could be as early as tonight, or his court case could be tomorrow. And I just hope, yeah. Let me see how many of you are watching, and I'll answer any of your comments. So put in your comments so I can answer some of them, and that should be good. That's always good. I love when you guys are, well, no one watching currently. Okay. Well, if anyone decides to watch, just put any comments in. Now we're going to quickly take a quick break, and then we'll be right back. Thank you very much. Just stand by.
will has not been seen.
They're blocking the traffic here. The police are blocking the traffic so the protests can march through.
You're watching 246 News.
Hello everyone and welcome back to 246 News. We are currently on live. So, we just talked to you earlier about the Djokovic situation here in Australia and what's going on in Melbourne. Now, of course, we have heard that he could have a court case as early as tonight or tomorrow. And so a statement released from the Department of Home Affairs Minister, today I exercise my power under Section 133 of the Migration Act to cancel the visa held by Mr. Djokovic on health and good order grounds on the basis that it was in the public's interest to do so. In the public's interest. Hear that. Now we're joined by a tennis expert and someone who might know a bit more about this, Paddy from Melbourne. Paddy, how are you?
Oh, very well, thanks, Connor. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Yeah, Paddy, we can hear you perfectly fine, but your camera, do you reckon you can just turn that off and on just to make sure that is working all good? You're frozen.
Yeah, let me see if I can get my camera working. Yes, I'm not sure. Connor, I've got it. I feel like I've got the settings correct, but for some reason the camera is not working properly. Do you want me to hop back out and on again?
That might be a good solution. Thank you very much. Okay, so we just lost Paddy there, but that is okay. We will just stand by for the minute. If not, we'll just add him in on the phone with his audio. But just to continue on there with what is going on, the decision followed orders by the Federal Circuit on the Family Court on the 10th of January 2022, quashing a prior cancellation decision on procedural fairness grounds. In making this decision, I carefully considered the information, this is a quote from the Minister, provided by the Department of Home Affairs, the Australian Border Force, and Mr. Djokovic himself. The Morrison government is firmly committed to protecting Australia's borders, particularly in the relation to the COVID-19 pandemic. Earlier reports from government sources indicated that any move to relax the government's COVID migration rules and allow the Serb to stay in Australia would set a dangerous present. All right, so we're going to see if we can give that another try now. We're going to add Paddy back onto the stream, and it's looking all good from here on. So Paddy, how are you? Are you able to hear me? Hello? No. Okay. Well, we'll try that once more when we're able to hear him again. But so Australian border officials were investigating whether Novak Djokovic lied on his border entry. Now, Novak Djokovic has we've obviously heard that Novak Djokovic, he has admitted that on his border entry pass that you need to get into Australia, it says that he has that he hadn't travelled in the last 14 or so days before filling out the form or arriving in Australia, and obviously that is incorrect. That is that statement is false and has been said as false. And so this statement that also, obviously this is false, but he says that this wasn't him who filled out the form. It was filled out with Tennis Australia officials and also with his very own team helped to fill out this form as well. Now, Djokovic has admitted that it was a false declaration claim that he had not travelled in the last 14 days leading up to his arrival in Melbourne. On Monday, Djokovic won his court hearing to have the decision to cancel his visa quashed, cleared by the Australian federal government. All right. We're just going to see if Paddy can join. We'll have one more go with that. All right. Please stand by. All right, we're going to give that a go one more time now. Joining us live from Melbourne is the one and only Paddy, our Melbourne reporter. How are you?
Great, thanks, Connor. It's fantastic to be here. Now, I'm inside the Australian Open Competitors Hotel.
Yeah.
Managed to get one of these bad boy passes, which allows me official access.
Yeah.
And so I'm in a position to get the opinion of many of the players and react to this incredible news that you've been reporting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so can you explain, so the federal government ruling, have you heard much about that? Is there much talk going on about that in the behind the scenes in the Australian Open?
Yeah, look, obviously it's just happened, but it's been a real talking point of interest. All the players and officials and coaches have been talking about it. And I think it's really divided opinion. Now, when it comes to ruling that the Minister, Alex Hawke, says that Djokovic provides a health risk to Australians, I think that's a hard one to believe.
Yeah.
Because look, Djokovic is here. There's a lot of COVID-19 in Australia, obviously at the moment. So the only person who's really at risk is Novak Djokovic himself if he gets COVID, and and he's apparently he's got it twice, and he's recovered absolutely fine, good enough to play the Australian Open. So it's hard to really see that he does pose a health risk to the Australian, the Australian population.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I 100% agree. Like, well, of course, I'm a journalist trying to be impartial here, but you might have to jump on my opinion show a bit later on. But of course, yes, we've seen from the evidence that is, well, they refuse to show us the health advice, why these vaccine mandates are in place, and the fact that it's, some people have been a bit skeptical, the fact that it is turned from, firstly, a vaccine situation to a border issue, like the border security is getting involved. Now, this is the immigration minister. Do you think this is going too far when it comes to becoming an immigration rule for a tennis player?
In this case, yes, I do think that it has gone too far. It's a bit of a debacle. Now, look, let's, to put it fairly, all tennis players, all Australian Open competitors were told that they would have to get vaccinated to play in the Australian Open. Out of the top 100 players in the world, 98 of them were vaccinated. The other player who chose not to get vaccinated, decided not to come and play the Australian Open because of that. And one player, Novak Djokovic, I guess a sort of well-known anti-vaccination, or someone who likes to keep his vaccination station. He likes to keep his vaccination status private. Let's put it that way. I think players are a bit suspicious of the fact that he has tried to get around this rule. The one way that he has tried to get around this rule is reporting that he has tested positive to COVID very recently. And as we know, there were pictures of him, the day after that, doing a photo shoot, and so, the fact that should they have let him in the first place? No, probably. If they made that a rule and they could have stuck to that rule, it should have been clear to everybody that that perhaps he might not have been allowed in the first place, but able to make it here. He applied for a visa. That visa was accepted by the by the federal government, by the immigration department, and therefore, I think once he gets in, I think a number of the players feel like this, is that he should be able to play now. He's done everything he could. He's won a court case. He's won an injunction against the federal government, and for them to now say that he poses a health risk, doesn't really add up, to me, and I think to a lot of the people here.
All right. Now, the fact that he's got COVID twice. Now, have you heard that? Like, what do you think about this whole thing? So Djokovic has admitted in a statement yesterday, there was a false claim on his travel form that he has not travelled in the last 14 days leading up to his arrival in Melbourne. So he says that he didn't fill out this form himself. He thinks it was Tennis Australia who was filling out this form, as well as his office managers. And so what do you think about that?
I just can't hear you, Connor. You're muted right now.
I'm not mute. I don't think I'm muted. It's
I've lost audio of you. Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, I can hear you perfectly. Yes, I can hear you perfectly.
Okay, you can hear me, but I can't hear you, unfortunately. I've lost audio with you. But just to finish up on this saga, I think that, look, it does make the federal government look bad. There is a feeling that the federal government is perhaps, doing this to Novak Djokovic for political reasons, to make themselves look tough and to probably help win an election. And I think that rubs people up the wrong way. So, look, it's been something that that really has been mishandled by the federal government. Look, there's no, there's no other way to put it. Djokovic probably shouldn't have been allowed to come in the first place. He probably should have been told that having COVID is not recent COVID is not an acceptable reason for an exemption. But he wasn't told that. He arrived in Australia in good faith.
I believe it is.
He did what he needed to do, and he won a court case. And therefore, I think for the minister to go ahead and cancel his visa, and you know what, he did it on Friday afternoon. The Australian Open starts Monday. Why didn't he do it straight away? Why didn't he use his power to cancel that visa?
He probably wants
on the very first, on Tuesday night. Then Djokovic's lawyers would have had time to prepare.
Exactly.
So I have no idea why he did that. It's going to be very difficult now for Djokovic's lawyers to make a good case. So I just feel that the government has mishandled this, and the minister should not have used his discretionary powers to cancel Djokovic's visa.
Now, if you have a look, what do you think about this admitting his false statement claim that he's travelled in the last 14 days? So what do you think about this? He's in the last 14 days leading up. Do you think trying to put this through to him? All right, let's see if we can get him on the phone here.
Yes.
So if you can just talk through the phone and just mute yourself, click the mute.
Okay.
If you click the mute button.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, just mute yourself on the phone. Click the mute button on the phone. Yeah, not on the computer, on the phone.
Oh, yeah. Okay, sure. Yeah.
So you can hear me through here now. So what do you think about Djokovic? He lied, apparently, so-called lied, on his declaration form, saying that he had not travelled in the last 14 days leading up into his arrival in Melbourne. What do you think of that?
Yeah, look, I think Djokovic has definitely questions to answer. Just the fact that he was tested positive to COVID in his declaration, and the next day he did a photo shoot without a mask. Just doesn't really add up. But still, I still think that's a bit of a distraction. I think it's a bit of a distraction from the main point. The main issue is, should the minister have cancelled his? Is he a threat, a health threat to Australian society?
Well, of course he's not. He didn't
the
take
answer
the
is
jab.
no. The answer is no, he's not. So
Absolutely.
therefore, the minister, I believe, should not have cancelled his visa on those grounds. Look, however, Djokovic he's going to find it tough to play in other tournaments. I think that this is something that is going to be a real challenge for him. I think other countries might, come up with similar rules. I think, they already have. And for him to be unvaccinated and to sort of continue his life as a professional tennis player, I think is going to be a big challenge for him, and one that it'd be interesting to see, if he's able to continue his profession in that manner. But in this particular case, as I said, I think that he's been treated perhaps not in the best, in the most respectful way from the Australian government.
Yeah. And look, it's obviously a lot of people are saying that this is an embarrassment to our country, and so when he was saying that, about again to his visa being apparently his visa was false, that he had a false claim on his declaration, and obviously it was his manager that was writing on that in Tennis Australia. Do you think this was appropriate? Do you think that just for this reason, that his manager lied on the declaration pass, do you think that's a reasonable reason? Does that make him a threat? Does that make him committing fraud? Or
As I said, I think it's a bad look for Djokovic.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that he should. It's up to him. He should be accountable, for that mistake.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think that it's grounds enough to make him a health threat to Australia. I don't think he's been here. He's been here many times. He gave a lot of money to the bushfire cause 2 years ago. He's not someone who, as I said, is a threat to the Australian public. Far from it. So therefore, I just don't think that as I said, whether he's telling the absolute truth or not, that maybe the media will investigate that, I'm sure. But I still believe he should have been allowed to play the Australian Open, and particularly after the court case, where the judge said he'd be very disappointed if the minister used his powers to overturn his ruling. I just think it's a really bad look for the federal government, and I think that internationally they'll cop some heat for it, particularly from the Serbian Prime Minister.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, and it seems that tomorrow is the Reclaim the Line protests all over Australia, and also in Melbourne. What do you think about? Do you think there'll be a lot of support for Djokovic there?
Oh yeah, look, Djokovic, there'll be a lot of support for him. Out of the general public, and there's a lot of people, particularly who are angry at the government, who will sort of see that that this is another example of how bureaucracy can sometimes, seem like it's working against common sense, and that's a lot of what. That's all we want here as Australian citizens, don't we? We want to be healthy. We want to stay safe. We want rules, but we want rules that make common sense. And sometimes it doesn't always seem like this government is giving us that.
Yeah, and so the protest should be. Do you expect there to be any protest there tonight at all? Haven't heard anything around the tennis.
Oh, look, I think there's people already. I think he's supposed to go back to that same Park Hotel where the refugees.
The same hotel. Are you sure about that?
Same hotel. Yeah, that's the talk, is that he's been taken back there. There's people there right now. I know that there's people there right now already protesting.
Okay,
I'm going to go actually, and
yeah,
I better go and check out the rest of the details. I've got reporting to do, and hopefully I can get back to you soon.
Okay, and just last thing there. What's your predictions for the Australian Open at the moment? Do you think Djokovic will win?
I doubt that he's going to be able to play. Not the way the federal government did it. I think it's going to be very hard.
Okay, Paddy, thank you for your time. Yeah, see ya. Sorry about that. It's just the timing with the schedule. But yes. All right. Now we're going to move on from that, and we'll just we'll check in later on what's going to happen on that situation and how it's going to work with like protests, people gathering there right now, and what if people are gathering, and what's going to happen again, what media is gathering there. Well, thank you everyone for watching. This is the stream. We're about to come to an end now. Thank